when I asked you if you had any knowledge whatsoever, if you knew anything about cats and dogs being used as products and imported into Canada, your answer was that.
I remember occasionally seeing sort of advertising for charities in magazines. Occasionally there'll be something in the newspaper. So I remember occasionally seeing sort of advertising for charities in magazines. Occasionally there'll be something in the newspaper.
You said that you didn't know anything about it until you read this in magazines and articles. And how long ago was that?
Years and years.
Years ago.
Years ago. But as I say, I always thought it was a problem somewhere else.
Right. So
but
now that I'm telling you that it's still happening.
Yeah. Well, you're telling me not just that it's still happening, but that it's the products of that are coming into Canada, and
that's right.
We're using them. What are we using them for?
Fur trim on parkas, toys, rugs, clothing, rings. They make rings and trinkets and souvenirs that end up in places like Niagara Falls and Toronto, all the big homes.
I think I did the usual, what most people do, which is to think that's terrible, and then not do anything about it.
Rather than headlines.
Yeah, I don't remember reading anything that's been in the front page news.
So it's never been anything really So how did you interpret that? I mean, when you read that,
I've been onto your website.
Mm-hmm. Did you go and did you go any further into any further research?
No, I didn't.
There's a lot of people, they're very sensitive, and they don't want to. They have a sense of what they are going to experience when they're viewing that footage.
Why do they skin them alive?
Well, some of the answers that I've come across in doing research, the farmers have said to undercover investigators who went over to China and shot some footage of them doing these things. They had said that the reason why they skinned them alive was because while they were withering, it was releasing the fur to them.
Yeah.
So this is the reason why.
So
in other words, while they're withering in agony,
yes.
they're getting their fur coat.
That's just terrible.
Yeah. People watching this documentary might ask, what has the skinning of animals in China got to do with Canada? And of course, what has all of this got to do with God? Okay? They're going to be wondering while watching this documentary, well, what is this person doing? Like, why is she talking to a minister who preaches in a church? And what has he got to do with how is this going to affect anything? So I wanted to ask you, I know that you have something very interesting to say, because when I first met you, I was impressed with the way that you were working with Sunny.
But no, she's nearly 2, so she's still a puppy, but very puppyish.
Mm.
I mean, I do treat her like a dog. I don't see her as some people treat their animals as human beings. I see her as a dog, but as a dog she has feelings, and as a dog she has a dignity, and as a dog she deserves respect. Yeah, that could be it. She's certainly quietening down. And animals have character, and as you say, they have feelings, and they are intelligent.
People, they're also going to be asking, they're saying, well, what has all this got to do with God? You know? And so I'm curious, because, you know, with all of the beside all of the money and greed and motivating factors, okay, that cause people to do such horrifying and ungodly acts, I want to ask you, how else can you explain why these people on these fur farms in our government are involved in this dirty business?
I mean, I can't answer for them. I mean, I can answer the question, you know, why is God concerned? I mean, it's because in our creation stories, God didn't just create us. He created us in His image, but first of all, He created the heavens and the earth, and He created the animals. And in our creation story, He created the animals to enjoy the plants and for humans to enjoy the plants. There was no eating not even eating animals in the original story. It was only when things started to go wrong, when in the story people start to feel as though they're God themselves, that they can do whatever they like if they think it will benefit them. And that's how human beings get into things like skinning of animals alive, is that they start to feel themselves as being God. Like, I can do whatever I want as long as it benefits me.
Do you have any final messages for Prime Minister Harper, who is he's in charge of running Canada? Do you have anything to say with respect to him running this country and allowing these imports? And he's got to know that they're coming into the country.
But what I would say is it's important that he does know. And he's Prime Minister, so he's not going to be doing the research himself, but it's important that his government knows. Because the government represents the people of Canada. And they need to know, and they need to decide what they will do with the knowledge that they receive. And I would encourage the government of Canada to do everything that's within their power to block the trade of cat and dog skins for use in Canada.
And what about the other animals, understanding the fact that if we allow some this is the way the Chinese think, and they've convinced the Conservative government somehow this is the reason why that Canada is allowing cat and dog fur skins in, because they're also sending raccoon, they're also sending rabbit, they're also sending fox and mink.
Well,
So along with all those furs, they're sending cat and dog.
I don't think we need to use furs anymore for clothing, and it's certainly not in southern Ontario and places that I've lived. So I'm not in favour of using animal skins at all.
What happens to the children and to those people that we love so dearly? What happens to them when they find out, when they get up onto the internet, or they open the newspaper or an article in a magazine, or watch a documentary about cats and dogs and raccoons and fox and mink and all the other animals that many of us call friend? What happens to them when they find these things, read about them or watch them? The long road ahead will not be easy for any of us unless the government changes this. But there is an end. But there is an end. And we can see it.